The sport is sponsored by Lowe's. Padres drop a tough one, 4-0 to the Philadelphia Phillies. Last night in game one of the series, Nick Pivetta will be going for the Pods today against Christopher Sanchez. The Philadelphia Open as minus 175 favorites, with it being bet down to minus 165. The run line set at 8.5. That game will go in at 335. And Damian Lillard has been cut today as Miles Turner signed a 4-year contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Per Chris Haynes, Giannis is not happy. Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you want the lowest price. With their lowest price guarantee, if you find a qualifying lower price on the same item, they'll match it. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how they'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee. Welcome, everybody, to the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher is still on vacation. He's off, as we've been documenting throughout the week, frolicking around Lake Tahoe, Merced. I don't know quite where he's at today, but so you got me, per usual, and I'm very honored to welcome personal friend of mine, special guest, a man who gave me my first start doing on his channel, Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa. Mr. Alan Sliwa, how you doing, dude?
What is going on, Sammy? What's happening here? We go from a little bit of YouTube action to let's take the airwaves in San Diego.
We're taking the airwave. This is a man who is from San Diego, Diego, born and bred out there in El Cajon, and it's trippy to get to do the show with you, dude.
No, this is awesome. This is obviously, it's great to do the show with you, and it's also great to just have a microphone in San Diego. Looking forward to a lot of these conversations. We got our SD people in the house, so I'm excited to hit on a number of different topics.
And just quickly, he does the Sliwa show, which is fantastic, every morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I do a little hit on there on Thursdays. So just a quick, I'm making sure Alan can't fire me because I promoted it.
NBA and Laker knowledge. You want NBA and Laker knowledge? Sammy every Thursday makes his appearance.
All right, Alan, we do a thing every week, every day, 12 and 1. We do a thing called the Big Three. So we're going to get into it real.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
All right, Alan. So Padres, it's tough to figure this team out. Dropped game one last night to the Phillies in Philadelphia. Where are you? We want to hear your thoughts on the team. Where are you at with them right now, and what needs to change?
I think like everybody, right? There's a very frustrated vibe with the team. You get off to such a good start, and they've been awful, it feels like, for the last month and a half. Obviously, games against teams that you would expect to see in the playoffs, teams above 500, they've really, really struggled against. So I got to imagine everybody's got the same vibe watching the Padres right now. You're almost just expecting them to lose. And I don't know how many people were watching yesterday's game with Zach Wheeler on the mound, how bad the Padres have been playing, how much they've struggled offensively. I don't know how many people thought they were going to walk away with the W in Philly. I don't think anything happened yesterday that was honestly surprising or shocking. I think it went chalk. Maybe you'd have thought they lost by more.
Yeah, certainly if you look at what Vegas had, they had them as a minus 265 favorite yesterday. You're assuming the Phillies ace Zach Wheeler, to your point, going against Matt Waldron, probably not working out too well for the Padres. But my biggest beef with yesterday was why the bats not come alive. I mean, I know Zach Wheeler's that guy. I know he's that good, but Fernando Tatis gets paid a lot of money. For Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, Xander Bogart, these guys get paid a lot, and they need to produce against the upper tier competition. It felt like yesterday, this is a big series because coming over the Reds who are in the wild card, you had maybe a tiebreaker there on Sunday, but then you blow it with the Suarez not having to save. And then opening yesterday, it just felt a little flat. I don't know what you think about that, Alan.
Yeah, I think there is I said this, and I really, honestly, this is kind of my theme with the Padres right now. I think fans are watching the Padres right now and asking the question. They're not confident in any matchup. I don't care who they're playing. They could be playing the Nationals. They could be playing the Reds. They could be playing the Philadelphia. They could be playing the Phillies. Doesn't really matter who they're playing against. But the vibe of this team, there's nothing that's happening. When Tatis comes up to bat, do you have the same feeling that you had a couple months ago when Tatis comes to the plate? Go look at his just kind of outlook every time he approaches a starting pitcher. He looks like somebody that's already got an out before it's happened. I think there's ups and downs from players like Jackson Merrill. Go down the list of some of these guys, obviously, that you were expecting more from this season. I didn't see yesterday as the surprise, and maybe yesterday was less frustration to me. I thought that was more expected.
Yeah, that's a good point about Tatis. It does feel like this team, it's such a streaky team. When the vibes are high, and Tatis...
What happened to his swag? What happened to Tatis is there was a time that every time Fernando Tatis got to bat, it was must-watch TV. Everybody go out of their way. Yeah. It's like Tatis is I don't want to say it's the savior of the San Diego Padres, but watching these last couple of months, this guy looks like he has absolutely no confidence, and you could tell with every bat that he has, or every at bat that he has, that the man is losing his confidence right in front of him.
I mean, we went from, what was that, a month and a half ago, the game where he hit the walk-off against the Angels, and just the kind of swag to the point you pointed out. I mean, the bat flip was right on point, and just playing at a MVP type level. And to this, just kind of you can feel, to your point, the vibe. Fernando at a time, not saying he's Shohei Ohtani, but had a vibe that when it's like he comes up to the bat, it's surprising when he doesn't get a hit, when he's on. He's got that kind of aura at the plate, and it feels like when things just aren't going his way, whether it's his way or the team's way, it really kind of affects his play, and that's not something you want to see from a guy who's making $300 million plus, who is one of the leaders of your team.
Yeah, they're all in their head. Is it safe to say that? I know there's going to be a lot of conversation. We'll get into it. Do the Padres do something? Does A.J. Preller do something by the deadline? I don't think that matters at this point unless some of these guys that are currently on your roster are playing up to their capability. This is not their capability. And I as much as they want to go try to find help somewhere else, if Tatis, God bless Xander Bogaerts, but we have this small stretch where he's playing a little bit better baseball and everybody's so excited. It's like, in big picture, yes, you want some positivity going towards Xander, but we obviously know what he hasn't done. Luis Ariz, kind of go down the list. There's a lot of these players right now that you're losing more and more confidence in regards to what they're able to do on a night in, night out basis.
And we're going to get to this more in the next segment.
Sounds so negative here. Jesus.
Alan making his re-debut on San Diego radio. We got to speak it like it is. That's what we do here on the Flesh Zone.
There you go.
Okay. Or, the Flesh Zone, if you listen to Big Rich and Travis, who came on last week. Got very sensual, Alan. I don't know if you heard the show. It was it's a different vibe when you come in here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But we're going to get into it more next segment. But there's a lot around this team, and you see the talent there at times. But then I think it's reasonable why people are frustrated with them right now. All right, let's head to the NBA. So surprising news this morning. Miles Turner, 4-year contract, going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, this is surrounding with Giannis potentially asking out, evaluating options. Damian Lillard is cut, and per Chris Haynes, Giannis is pissed about it. What's your reaction to this, Alan? Do you think Giannis gets traded? Do you like this move? I mean, what's your kind of vibe around this?
Well, they clearly feel the pressure around Giannis, and they're trying to accommodate everything they can to Giannis. I don't think Miles Turner is going to be their answer. I don't think because they got Miles Turner now, watch out for the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, frankly, the entire Eastern Conference is open, so maybe there is some opportunity for them there. We know all the injuries that are there. I think the biggest surprise with everything is the Dame, just basically taking I think they're going to owe $22.5 million of dead money for the next 5 years to Damian Lillard. The Chris Haynes report, and I think Chris Haynes has every contact you can imagine, but I have a difficult time thinking that Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't know about this. I have a difficult time with the Bucks making any move without Giannis knowing about it. So the story out there that he's angry or he's upset that that's what they did to Damian Lillard, I don't know how much I believe that. I think that Giannis runs that franchise, and whatever he wants them to do, they're clearly going to do it. But it's interesting. You can say, oh, okay, they got Miles Turner. That came out of nowhere. I don't know if Miles Turner is going to be the answer for the Milwaukee Bucks, but they're going to take their chances. And what that squad looks like in the next couple of years, probably have a lot of dead money, and I'm not sure what the future is going to look like there.
Yeah, it felt like a rushed move to
the panic. There's a panic in there.
Try to save face for Giannis because you're seeing everyone leave. You re-sign Bobby Portis, but you lose Brook Lopez, who him and Giannis were tight. And it feels like we need to make a splash because Giannis, certainly his next thing could be I want out, because Giannis by himself, even in a week in Eastern Conference, is not going to the championship, but he can't do it all by himself. Damian Lillard's so unfortunate there with the injury, him going to miss all of next season. But it felt reactionary. It felt like you gave this guy a lot of money. And listen, Miles Turner's a good player. He's a solid player. I think 2 years from now, you could look at that contract and go, that's a little bloated, and you're trying to move him off your books. Giannis is an interesting spot because if I'm Giannis, selfishly as Laker fans, it would be amazing if we come to LA. But in the Eastern Conference, I don't know that you want to move out west. I mean, the West is loaded with Oklahoma City and Denver and the Lakers, and just go down the list. Minnesota.
Who'd you name?
Are you saying the Lakers should be in that list?
I don't know if that's the squad you want to throw in as watch out for in the Western Conference right now. Not yet. I honestly, I know we'll get into it, but I think they're pretty far down that list of teams that I'd be worried about.
Okay, so we're getting them next. The Lakers lose Dorian Finney-Smith to the Houston Rockets, 4-year, $53 million. Sign Jake LaRavia to 2-year, $12. Linked to DeAndre Ayton. Will LeBron ask out?
It's so funny kind of watching this all unfold, and I think you got to wait for the next couple of weeks to happen. I will say this. I think LeBron is in an interesting situation. His situation is, first off, he doesn't have the power and the control that he once had. And I think he's struggling with that, accepting that fact. This team moving forward is Luka Doncic's team. It's not LeBron's, period. And every move and every decision that the Lakers make moving forward should be built around Luka. He's 26, LeBron is 40. It's nothing LeBron did wrong. He's going to be in his 23rd season. No NBA players ever played 23 seasons in the NBA. It's not a good strategy to not build around Luka. That's the smart strategy to take. Will LeBron ask out? I think the question is, he wants to play for a championship contender. I don't know how the Lakers become a championship contender. So if in a couple weeks he sits back and he looks at that roster, I think the next statement from Rich Paul or one of these other players should request the trade. If he's not happy with the team and not happy where he is, then maybe he should ask to go play for a different team in the NBA.
I get so tired of this from LeBron. And this might be a hot take. Listen, LeBron's an amazing player, and I understand that the counter take to this is he's still at the top of his game. He deserves all the money. But all we hear from LeBron is about how we want to build a contender, and you're on a team with Luka Doncic. So there's something going for the Lakers. They were the 3 seed considering they traded for him midseason. Luka even missed a couple weeks after they traded for him. So there's something with this team. If you didn't want to take all the money and want to do a little Tom Brady, a little Patrick Mahomes, taking a little less money for the greater good of the team, considering you're buying $60 million houses in the bubble without even looking at him, I don't think he's cash strapped and hurting for cash. I agree with you in that sense. I think this is LeBron who... His
credit score got hit on that purchase. He's struggling right now. He's struggling right now.
Can you, real quick side note, can you imagine buying a $60 million house without even looking at it?
I can't imagine going to a restaurant and not looking at the menu and asking the waiter or waitress, go ahead and pick whatever you want. I can't even do that blind. So
You're a big Yelp guy?
Yeah, I am a Yelp guy.
Yeah, you got to see a photo of it.
Take
you
photos.
Don't know. There's nothing worse.
What are we looking like in reviews? What are we under 4 or are we over 4? It's a big factor.
Totally. I think this is LeBron trying to get back control of the team. And listen,
well, it ain't happening. Like I don't know what to tell you, that the days of LeBron controlling the Lakers, those days have passed, and you're watching it all unfold right in front of your eyes. And I don't fault Bron. If Bron wants to take $52.6 million, he can take $52.6 million. That's okay. By the way, the reason why he opted in is because there's no other team out there that's going to give him 52.6.
Exactly.
Can afford, or does he want to play for?
Right.
He doesn't want to play for Brooklyn or Charlotte, or maybe the Pistons, I think, can be around that number. So if you're going to take the money at age 40, you also have to understand that the Lakers are not going to have many options from there, and that's okay, but you can't have your cake and eat it too.
And people want to say with LeBron, he still plays at a max salary level player, which he is, except he can't play the amount of minutes that's needed for a 2-man max salary level team between Luka Doncic and LeBron James to get to a finals, because we see him get gassed out of games. He needs to rest. He can't play all 82 games. And that's
He's 40.
He's 40. It's understandable. Mm-hmm. So it's frustrating when I hear the contender thing. I might be a little bit higher on this team than you. I think it sounds like DeAndre Ayton's coming later in the day. The Lakers need a center. No, are they a favorite in the West? But I do think that they would be a team to be reckoned with if they had a full offseason. Or maybe I'm looking through my Laker.
No, I think they can still put together a good team, a competitive team. I just don't think they're top 4 in the Western Conference. So I think you got to ask yourself, even if the offseason goes perfect, are they hanging with Houston? Are they hanging with OKC? Are they hanging with Denver? I think there's really good teams in the Western Conference, and I just have a difficult time thinking the Lakers are going to figure out a way to get to that level.
All right, I like it. We'll get into that more at 12:30. Coming up next, though, on the Fletch Zone, get more into these Padres. We're going to expand on what happened to Tatis Swag, what's going on there, and why is this team's record against teams above 500 the way it is, coming up next on the iHeartRadio app. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760, it's STFC Midweek Live. Here from head coach Mikey Varas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. STFC Midweek Live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on your home for STFC San Diego Sports 760. Alan, we were talking about the Padres last segment, kind of about Tatis Swag, and you brought up a really interesting stat that I'll let you get into it, but kind of the team's record against opponents above 500. That's kind of been an underlying storyline that I don't think has been talked quite enough heading into this season.
Yeah, I a couple things here. Was listening yesterday, and John and Jim were doing their thing, and they really emphasized how the Padres are playing against teams above 500. There's a couple different ways to figure out, hey, can your team hang? Can your team, do the San Diego Padres have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs this year? And if they do, can they make some noise? It's a fair question. It's a real question. And if you look at the stat of how the Padres are doing against teams above 500, it's wildly concerning. 16-31 against teams above 500.
Damn.
I think where you want to be in a perfect world, if you felt like, your squad has a chance. And listen, let me preface by saying this. Today is July 1st. If you told me before the season started, Padres were 6 games over 500, I'd sign up for that immediately. maybe my expectations had gone down on the season. But if you told me there's 6 games above 500, and if you also told me Michael King has been out for, obviously a good point of the season, Darvish hasn't pitched a game all season long. And this is how you created the story for me before the season started. And you told me there's 6 games over 500. I signed up for that in a heartbeat. Here's the problem. The problem is it's great to beat up on teams that are bad. You need to. And that's where a lot of teams end up having a great record, is because they take advantage of the teams that are below 500. But right now, when they're playing teams that you feel like they could potentially face in the postseason, or they're going to face in the 3-game set in the wild card, forget, some of the elite teams in Major League Baseball, that tells you what kind of team that you have. That's also probably giving information to AJ Preller of what to do before the trade deadline. There's a lot you can, I think, extract from how do you do against some of these teams that I'm not even telling you, I'm not even saying just, well, how do you do against the Dodgers? No, it doesn't matter. It does matter, but I'm saying that you don't need to compare yourself just to that team. How do you do against all the other teams that are above 500? 16-31 is one of the worst stats that you can possibly imagine when you're thinking of your team and competing long term.
Well, to your point about, if you said before the season they're 45-39 on July 1st, again, I think most people would have taken that
with the circumstances. I think with the circumstances of 2 primary key pitchers that have not been there. Musgrove obviously can't pitch all season long.
Darvish, King missing massive time.
And bats that have just gone lost. I mean, since the postseason, where the Padres went, 24 innings without scoring for 24. The final 2 games. And I know, listen, they started off the season. It's not like the bats have been this all season long, but you also have a lot of key players that have also underperformed. I'd take 6 games over 500 in a heartbeat. It's just, where's the trajectory of the team? Is it going up or is it going down?
Right.
It's clearly going down.
I think the vibe, 2 things. I think expectations got risen, which I think is a good thing. I think that's something that we hold San Diego accountable. We hold the Padres accountable. It's a great city. So, when you almost beat the Dodgers, when the Dodgers go, Mookie Betts goes on his podcast and talks about how they were most scared of the Padres.
Which doesn't help at all. I hate hearing that stuff. That's like the most excruciating thing, is when somebody's like, oh, that was the hardest team to face in the playoffs. And what do you want me to do with that? Like, there's nothing I could do with that that makes me feel any better.
Yeah, I hear you with that. I don't even think it was meant as a shot.
It wasn't. No, I don't think it was either. I think they're being honest when they say that. I'm just saying, as a fan, you're watching, it was, I forget who they were playing off the top. It was a Fox Sports game. And the announcers wouldn't stop of, do you know how talented this Padres team was last year?
Yeah.
These were one of the favorites to win it all.
I think it was quotes the Royals, coming from the Diamondbacks.
It might have been that. It was one of those 2 teams. I'm like, I want to turn off the broadcast. I don't want it. I don't want anybody else to tell me how talented they were last year, and they obviously didn't.
You know how close they were.
And
to the point of the 45-39. And I know people are going to go, well, they're 50-50, heading in the All-Star break last year. The problem with this year is there's so many teams that have upped their game. I mean, you look at the Cubs, the Mets are flailing, but they're atop the wild card. The Giants,
and they'll be in the mix. Like Mets and Phillies, they're going to be there.
I mean, the Cardinals. We just saw the Reds over the weekend. Unfortunately, the Padres came short on that Sunday. That would have been a big tiebreaker to get. I mean, the damn Diamondbacks. You thought when Corbin Burns went out for the season, you thought this team was kind of going to fall apart, and they look like they're only getting
Giants
better.
Making moves. They're not going anywhere.
I mean, so it's the Padres have took their game to another level since last year, except it's not last year. Everyone else took their game to another level. And it is, the vibes around the team are interesting. It does feel like after starting so well, 14-3, and maybe we got a little too ahead of our skis beating a
They're
Braves.
Not a 14-3. I think that's also the part that kind of, there was a misconception when the season, I don't know how you felt. And I'm sure there's a lot of San Diegans that felt this way as well. When they started the season the way they did, you're just waiting like, all right, this thing's going to come back to normal. And obviously things are leveling out as they are.
And I think the biggest thing with that is we all knew the sub 1.5 ERA was not going to last from the bullpen. I mean, it's crazy they were even at that level. They're the best bullpen in baseball, and it wasn't even close. But I keep going back to this. I mean, if it's World Series Game 7 and everyone's healthy and you have Morahone and Estrada and Adam and then Suarez, I think you feel pretty good about that. I really do.
I agree.
But over the span of a season, Jason Adams, one of the most taxed bullpen arms, not only on the Padres and the entire Major League Baseball. Estrada, ever since that Dodgers series, really has not been quite the same. Morahone, I think, has really elevated his game this year, and Suarez is money, but the other night wasn't so much against the Reds.
And look at Suarez. when he's got to come out 2 nights in a row, and that's what happened against Cincinnati. He threw 20-plus pitches in the win that they had against Cincinnati, and then came back and turned it around, had another, by the time he gave up the game, what'd he throw? Another 25 pitches?
Right.
You're also having nights where you have such little margin for error. You screw up one. Does it not seem like that with the Padres, that every game that you watch with them, nothing comes easy? Nothing.
No.
And if you put that much, you were making the comp on the bullpen. If you put that much pressure on your bullpen every single night, of course it's going to come back and haunt you. Of course it is. And it's not their fault.
And it's not their fault. And we probably gave too much credence to the hitters were hitting at the time. And maybe we all got too excited when they swept the Braves 4 games, and the Braves aren't quite the team that we all thought that they were going to be heading into the season. And this is not just doom and gloom on the Padres. There's a lot of talent on this team. I think that's why it's frustrating, is because you see the ability this team has, but they're in a weird spot because of the owner situation, because of they weren't really spending money in the offseason. So you wonder if they're going to do it at the deadline. And there's multiple holes now. It's not just, texter SoCal Jayhawk gave us yesterday. I think left field, maybe not Saul, but Sheets has been serviceable out there. But now you're worried about
perfect world. You find a real left fielder and he's DHing.
I think, if the starting pitching staff really comes back, if King and Darvish, what they're telling us is real and they're actually to come back, I think you're set there. But it's starting to get a little wearing thin. At what point we heard Darvish, it was going to be 2 weeks start of the season. 2 weeks. No, it's going to be May.
Sure.
And it feels like we keep kind of delaying.
He's got another session, I think, coming. Is it today?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He might be able to throw before the All-Star break. They're not sure. They're kind of debating that. I just wait till after the All-Star break and start him. But it just feels like there's multiple holes in this team. And what do you attack first? Is it the bullpen? Is it the starting pitching staff versus the back end of the lineup?
I think that no matter what they do, I'm going to give you the amount of runs they've scored in their last 5 games. Okay. And you tell me what the problem is. And I think anybody, when I start listing out these numbers, we all know what the issue is for the San Diego Padres. They won 1-0 against Washington. Against the Nationals. That was the final of the homestand. Okay. They won 1-0. All right. You want to give them credit. Hey, you won the game, whatever it takes. They scored 1 run. All right. Next night against the Cincinnati Reds, where they had the off night, and on Friday they played the Cincinnati Reds. They almost got no hit and had 1 run as well. Let me take the 1 game out where they score 6. Sheets gets that 3-run homer. Cronenworth had a 2-run homer as well. Cincinnati, they put up 2 runs. Philly, they put up 0 runs. They can't score. You don't need to be you don't have to have the greatest knowledge in baseball. If you can't score runs, you're probably not going to win. And if you're putting up 1, 2, 3 runs, 3 runs seems like when they went down 3-0 yesterday, it was like, that's a wrap. The game is over. They're not going to score any more than this. Or when you're down 3-0, you just don't have any confidence in their offense. As much as you could look at every layer of the Padres, they got dudes that are supposed to be delivering at the plate, and they're not delivering. So whatever they do moving forward, and you take the 6 games over 500, they're going to get closer to 500, and then we'll see what happens unless these bats wake up. And so far, nothing's giving you a indication that that's going to happen.
Completely agree. If you want to text the show, 70470, start your message with team, 70470, start your message with team. Give us your thoughts on the Padres. We got some text rolling in right now. We're going to get to on the other side, as well as some NBA free agency, kind of get you everything up to date going on there. And are the Lakers making a mistake not going for the big fish? So thank you for listening on the iHeartRadio app. This sport is sponsored by Wendy's new Frosty Flavors. Padres dropped game one of the Phillies yesterday. They'll be back in action today. It was originally scheduled at 3:35, but it has been put into a rain delay. We'll get you updates on that and when the game will start. The Phillies are currently favored by -165. Pivetta will be going for the Padres, while Christopher Sanchez will be going for the Phillies. And in the NBA, Damian Lillard has been cut to be signed. Miles Turner signed a 4-year contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Per Chris Haynes, Giannis is not pleased. Love Wendy's classic chocolate and vanilla frosty flavors, announcing all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors. The same creamy treat you love, now with the flavor refresh. Refresh on a classic, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location. Welcome back to the Fletch Zone with me, Sammy Long, and very special guest, Alan Sliwa, hopping in today. He's the owner of Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa. He does a Sliwa show every 8 a.m., every day, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Oh, we have some text.
I'll go to PM.
You go to PM?
AM to 9 PM.
This man really is the hardest worker. He did his show in the morning yesterday, and then he did a Laker postgame show last night of the riveting many Laker signings that happened yesterday.
Definitely people working harder than me. I just sit in front of a mic. I do nothing and talk basketball and sports. They got it a lot tougher.
I was listening to the comments this morning on your show. People were not too pleased with what the Lakers put up so far in free agency.
Yeah, because they haven't done anything. I mean,
You're telling me Jake LaRavia is not going to change the course of the franchise?
Even if he becomes a nice, but by the way, I don't mind. They don't re-sign Dorian Finney-Smith. I wouldn't give DFS a 4-year contract. I just think 32 years old, to have him until you're 36. I don't mind that. Jake LaRavia is a cheaper, younger option. I'm all right with that. The problem is they just got, obviously they got a lot of holes they got to fill.
Yeah. So let's respond to some text from the last segment talking Padres, and then we're going to get to the NBA. 619 said trade Suarez for pieces. He has value, but the league has figured him out. Do you agree with that? There's been a report kind of floating around the last couple of weeks about maybe Morejon gets moved, maybe Suarez gets moved to try to help the back end of this lineup. Do you think that kind of solves anything?
No, I'd rather have those pieces than not have them. The problem is, and I understand the argument of, well, how do you improve the team? There was a good article in the UT earlier today. Tom Krasovich, I'll read you the headline of it, and I think it says everything and refers a little bit to this text. AJ Preller's Padres don't appear to have much purchasing power as trade deadline nears. If you're going to go improve the roster and you're going to find different ways to do it, you need pieces to go make it happen. Morejon has been fantastic. I don't think anybody would argue that. Suarez, I don't know if he's still leading the league in saves, but he was obviously up there. And listen, I don't know how you feel when Suarez comes in with a 1-run lead, but I'll get some text when it's going on. It's like, here we go. Granted, the guy he's either nails and nobody's touching him, or everyone can hit his fastball. I can't, fully understand it, but I don't think the answer is getting rid of a couple of your bullpen arms or one of your bullpen arms. I think they're going to have to be more creative, which, by the way, I think AJ Preller doesn't get enough credit for this. I think the man is wildly creative when it feels like he's got one hand tied behind his back. And I think the question is just going to be, is this team going to give him enough reasoning to say, let's go make a move?
Yeah, because it feels like if you get rid of the bullpen's already kind of thin. You have 4 really good arms, and that's kind of it. And you're going to get rid of one of those guys. You better get someone at the back end of the lineup that's going to come in and hit immediately, because I feel like you just create another problem. Then you weaken the bullpen. I don't know what you're getting. It would be a shame to get rid of Morejon. Listen, I know that they got to work out a contract and everything.
Yeah.
That dude has been nails. He got Ohtani out a few times. He was really good against the Dodgers. I mean, that would kind of be a shame to give up. And Suarez has overall this year been really good. It just feels like after, a couple rough outings to dump him. And you got to make sure you're getting something back. It's hard in the MLB. It's a lot of times for prospects. Kind of ties into, we're going to get into, later, we can get into it now. What makes them a buyer or a seller is, if you're trading some of these bullpen arms for prospects, then you're selling. My number one thing for the Padres would be this. I think either buy or sell. Holding would be the worst thing this team could do, because in my opinion, I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't feel like this team is winning a World Series with the way it's currently constructed. Mm-hmm. I think they have the talent to where if you added a couple pieces, they would be able to seriously do some damage. As we saw last year, they almost beat the Dodgers. But I mean, just holding. It's like either sell off and try to get some of this money back and load up for next year, or do something else. Because I don't think holding really does anything.
Let's pretend this. Let's say there's 6 games over. Let's say they go 500 between now and the trade deadline. Should you be making kind of a wild move one way or the other? Because I think there's a point if they're 10 or 12 games over 500 by the time you get to the trade deadline. I think it's clear, hey, the team's good enough to hang. Go add what you need to add. And is it going to cost you something? Sure, but keep this momentum going and potentially get into the playoffs back-to-back years. If you're telling me that they're at 500 and we're getting to July 31st, then maybe that conversation changes a little bit because the trajectory since they were 14-3, okay, maybe that's a little bit more of it's fake, it's a fugazi, whatever you want to call it. Then I'm more open to listening to those conversations. But no matter what you do, here's what we know is not going to change. What's not going to change is some of the contracts that they have, the long-term contracts that they have. I don't know how much, and maybe there is an emphasis on this, but I don't know how much of an emphasis is made on the Padres are going to live and die by the players they already have that are under contract. And unless those players like Tatis we talked about, obviously, Machado probably is going to have the numbers that you're thinking of by the time the season ends, but he's kind of gone through his fair share of ups and downs as well. And when he's hot, he's great. And when he's cold, obviously you're hoping for him to get out of the slump, but I'm going to leave Machado alone because I think Machado's been fine. The only way they get out of the mix that they're in and they could turn the tide. Listen, they may win 2 in a row against Philly. And all of a sudden we're sitting here and we're saying, hey, they're 8 games over 500. They're heading in the right direction, everything else. But they're in such a stalemate right now. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the players that you think would lead the San Diego Padres are not doing that. They're not the players right now that, you could look at and you could depend on. That to me has more to do with anything than whatever happens moving forward, whether they make trades or they don't.
Totally. We got a great text, 858. So, hello, gents, up here in the Bay Area. It feels like the Pods are the Titanic heading toward the Powerball iceberg with time to avoid, but getting close. And this concerns me as well. Pods haven't even faced the Cards, Mets finishing 4 with Phillies and Mariners, all teams that gave us huge issues.
And 16-31 versus all these teams that are above 500.
That's what I was going to get to. I think that's why the vibe, even though there's 6 games over 500, is probably not where you would think it would be if you said at the beginning of the year they're 45-39 heading into July 1st because of that. Every time they set up in competition, I looked back. Alan, the first time this team won the first game of a series.
Okay.
The first game of a series, can you guess it?
The last time they won a first game of the series. All right, let me just try to play backwards here. They lost against Philly yesterday, so that's out of the mix. Lost the first one and the third one to the Nationals.
The Reds.
The Reds, first and the third. San Francisco, maybe?
The Brewers on June 8th. That's the last time the Padres have won the first game of a series they are. So I guess I'm going to give Mike Show credit for adjustments. That's what you'd like to see. But you'd like to see the Padres jump out on some of these teams.
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what to take from that. I think, we always look at, did you win the series, the 3-game set against this team, or did you not? Or if it's a 4-game set, did you split? I think we always look at it that way. I don't know what to make of losing the first game. I'm not sure what to make of that.
I don't know if it is anything. I just saw it. Certainly the Royals series and the Nationals, and I want to give them credit. The Royals series came back and won the final 2 games, but it feel like we went into June. There was this massive schedule. You had the Giants, you had the Brewers, you had the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Dodgers. And it's easy to get up for those games, especially in a season that's 162 games. It's baseball. It can be a little bit of a slog, a little bit of in the middle of the summer. But you're in June, and you're playing teams that you have rivalries with. I mean, certainly the Dodgers, that's obvious. The Diamondback, any division opponent is fun. And you're playing the Brewers, a team that also was pretty good last year. And it feels like you come out of that, you play a Royals team who's 500, but does have some nice bats on it with Caglione and Bobby Witt in them. You drop that one. Then you play a Nationals team, which it feels like you didn't really get up for, who they were going to get up for it. I mean, that's all former Padres.
Sure.
James Wood,
some studs on there,
Abrams and Gore, who went game 3, were going to get up for that series. And I feel like the Padres just came out a little bit flat. And I don't know if it is anything. I don't know if losing the first game of a series means anything, but it is like, after a month, you start to go, okay, why can't they start out these series ahead of the ball, ahead of the game, versus always playing catch up the final 2 or 3 games, whatever it is?
Well, if the goal is to always, you walk away. Let me give you an example. And not all series are created equal. I think when they walked into the six game set, the 6 games on the road here against Philadelphia and Cincinnati, initially for me, I'm like, honestly, I feel like they're going to go 2-4, but I'll take 3-3. Right? It's just like sign me up for 3-3. And now we'll see what happens if they go 2-4, which is probably where they're heading, even though they only got 1 win, only 2 games left. I think if the goal is, can you gain some momentum? It clearly hurts your momentum if you're losing that first game of a set. So maybe that's what you're referring to.
You're always chasing the 8 ball. You're always playing behind
100%. Let me ask you this, and if we're being honest with each other, by the time we get to August 1st, so give the Padres another 30 days, and we know obviously where they've been trending. Is it more likely that they start churning things around? And I'm not telling you that they got to go. You could count how many games there are. Let's say there's 28 games or 29 games or whatever it is in the month of July. I'm not looking off the top of my head. Let's just say it's 20. Let's say it's 30 games that they have between now and the end of the month. More likely that they're above 500 or below 500 over that 30-game stretch?
Honestly, now I know the schedule opens up a little bit. I feel like just the way the team is trending, I feel like they'd be worse. They'd be under 500.
I think that's fair. I think most people would say, okay, well, they're going to be below 500 just based off of, and I'm not talking about their overall record. I'm talking about just over that 30-game span.
And maybe this is a weird take that is kind of, the division's out of reach. Let's just, for everyone, we went from 2 weeks ago to 3 weeks ago to being within a game. You were playing the Dodgers that if you won, you were tying them for the division lead, and it would have been like, oh wow, like this is legit.
Can I ask you this question? Did you ever believe the division was in play?
No, and that's what I'm about to get to.
Yeah,
I think there's
which is okay. That's fine. I mean, I think that I walked into the season just saying, grab a wild card spot, and that's okay. That's okay. However you get in, that's an all right to route to get into.
That's the point I'm getting to. Is it's almost like you can put that out of your mind. And listen, if they go on some crazy run, the Dodgers start losing games, which I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, it's not happening
because they're getting healthier. But let's just say then you start thinking about it. The fact that you're almost kind of put that out of sight, out of mind. The Giants do the same thing, the Diamondbacks, and you can focus on this wild card. I mean, listen how
that helps a little bit.
I think it helps. I think it oddly does, because instead of always making it about the big bad Dodgers, you're just focusing on getting in. And we know what this team can do if they just simply get into the postseason. I mean, listen to the NL wild card. The Mets are 1.5 games up and really flailing. Milwaukee +1. The Cardinals got the last spot. Padres 1 game back. Giants 1.5 games back. Reds 2.5 games back, and the Diamondbacks are 4. So, I mean, there's like 7 teams, and then the Braves are behind them that could legit make a case for a wild card spot. Listen, it's going to be fun down the stretch. It's going to be stressful for San Diego.
Can I tell you what the disadvantage to that is when you have this many teams that are competing?
Tiebreakers.
Not even just the tiebreakers, but I think that the next 30 days, you have a lot of teams that think they can make the wild card.
Yes.
So the cost of doing business, if there is one house on the market and there's 5 people that are all coming in that open house and they're getting a chance to look at that house, then if it was listed at $500,000, it's going to sell for $650, whatever the case is. The problem with having this many teams, it's great. Listen, the Padres are right in the mix. They're in the mix of the wild card. They got a chance to make the playoffs again. It'd be consecutive years. It'll be 4 out of 6 years if they get there. But the Cardinals are thinking the same thing. The Mets and the Phillies aren't going to back down. I'm sure the Dodgers will make moves just because they're going to make moves. The Giants already made a move. We're just going to see what they do.
The Diamondbacks look like they were going to sell off, and now all of a sudden they're winning all these games. If you're Arizona, you're thinking you're probably
got a lot of teams in the mix. Got a lot of teams in the mix.
All right, we got long shots coming up next.
Okay.
Alan, something we do every day here. We do a betting segment. We want to make our listeners money. You know, it can be a little long during the.
I'm ready to go. I'm a bettor. I'm a gambler. I gamble in life.
Alan's a risk taker.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always swinging for the fences. If you know me, I mean, there are no base hits. Base hits win game.
What's a base hit?
Yeah.
What's a walk?
I'm striking out or I'm going deep.
You're the opposite of Billy Bean. Okay. We don't go for walks on the pad. But I have gotten Alan into sports gambling. My degeneracy has rubbed off on Alan. So we're going to get you a lineup, special edition of long shots. I'm going to have 2 picks. Sliwa's going to have a pick for you. We're going to have a special 3-leg parlay. Appreciate everyone for tuning in here on the Fletch Zone, and thank you for listening on the iHeartRadio app. Long shots coming up next. Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances by Bryan Adams, Ed Sheeran, John Fogerty, Mariah Carey, Maroon 5, Sammy Hagar, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more. September 19th and 20th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out. Alan, what's your before we get to long shots? What's your you big Vegas guy? You gamble or no?
Huge Vegas guy. I'm day club guy.
Day club.
Yep.
Show off that 24 pack you got going on.
A lot of foam parties. Just huge Vegas guy. Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. Actually, I'm really appreciative. Yes, I wanted to get into that. So.
Alan's like the
huge Vegas guy.
The Hangover.
Yeah.
Like if the Hangover was a person.
Yeah, but like Hangover on a weekday.
On a weekday.
Like by the weekends, I'm resting. Because I want to get back in for
exactly because you went so tough over the weekend.
Yeah.
You went so hard. It's you got to have a little downtime.
I like that question. Are you a Vegas guy?
You're a Vegas guy. Vegas is a big topic on our show. It kind of comes up once a day, probably too much. But listen,
I am not a big Vegas guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I may go for summer league. Maybe out there for summer league. If I go, a lot of years I was going every single year because Lakers would have preseason games out there when I was covering the team. So I would be out there for that. But no, my days of going to Vegas and doing whatever you're doing there, probably not
you know
on my
If you go to Summer League,
list.
I might have to have you place a couple bets for me. I will Venmo you the cash. Got it, we got to take advantage of our opportunities.
But Venmo first, because I'm not going to go make a bet.
You're going to stake me, Alan. You said that. You promised.
Yeah.
We're running up against it. So
your credit's not good here, okay?
We're gonna get to long shots right now. Alan's gonna give you a pick, and I'm gonna give you 2. Here is long shots.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
All right, so Alan's going to give you his pick first, and then I got 2 for you following. Alan, what you got for us all today?
All right, so Tatis. Give me that. This is more or less.
More or less. 1.5 hits, RBIs, I believe. Hits and RBI.
Yeah, so I'm going to do just hits. I'm going to do hits on mine. Okay. I'm going to say Tatis more than 1.5 hits.
So
now, if you're out there,
I like that.
So now if you're out there and you're listening to my advice and you're going to go make your own picks over at Prize Picks, that's fine. You could do it. I'm just telling you that my more of 1.5 hits is based on nothing. I have nothing that is based on. There isn't some history here in recent history that Tatis is going to grab 2 hits, but I'm going to go and I'm going to pick with my heart that Fernando Tatis Jr. starts making it happen again, and it starts against the Philadelphia Phillies, and he's getting 2 hits tonight.
You know what? I'm not even just
I don't care.
With that. I like it because
going to the ATM right now.
Hey, put the mortgage, put the house, put it all on Prize Picks, okay? Okay? You heard it here first. On the Fledge Zone.
Tatis, please. Just get come on.
Yeah,
you gotta start turning things around.
It's Red Demon, 2.5 hit or 1.5 hits, more than. Okay, I got 2 for us. Jacob DeGrom, the Rangers, playing the Orioles, 7 pitcher strikeouts. This is a high number for me. I'm going less than on DeGrom. DeGrom's a phenomenal pitcher. We know what he's brought to the MLB for a long time, except the Orioles found themselves a little bit yesterday. They scored 7 runs in extras last night, which is the most the Orioles have had since 1950. 1950. Gunnar Henderson ripped one off the wall. I think that the Orioles are an extremely talented team. They've really underperformed this year. But once a team like that can get going a little bit, I think DeGrom, 7 strikeouts high, especially for an older pitcher. They need to save him if the Rangers got any shot to make a run down this year.
So you'll go less than on that?
We're going less than on DeGrom. Okay. Now, I mean, we wouldn't be, the Fletch Zone if we didn't hit a little Wimbledon.
Of course.
I mean, come on. We're in the dog days. Let's admit it. We're in the dog days of summer. We don't have NFL going on. NBA just wrapped up.
Got Agassi, Sampras. Who do you have?
We got Sampras. I got John McEnroe, actually. Johnny Mac coming back.
Yep.
Carlos Alcaraz, 18.5 games won versus Oliver Tarvet. So we're going less than on this. This is what Carlos is going to sweep this. Carlos got pushed yesterday. He won the French Open a month ago, came off a high. First match at Wimbledon yesterday, went 5 sets. He almost lost, which would have been a massive upset. It was crazy. He had a completely.
Might wake him up, I think is what you're saying.
He's woken up now. The beast has awoken.
He's ready to go.
Less than 18.5. I think he wins this in 3 sets. I think this is not even a competition tomorrow. And it's a 6:40 in the morning. So listen, get a cup of coffee. Tune into Carlos. Maybe throw the Sliwa show on there, 8 a.m. You have multiple TVs going, and you're winning money. You're listening to Sliwa, and then you can tune in us at 12. So it'll be a
Tatis,
good day.
2 hits. That's it, Tatis. I don't think we're asking for too much here. 2 hits, Tatis.
Listen, you don't get paid to not hit the ball. That's what I say to my players before we put them in Prize Picks. Or you will get personal DMs from people on this show. No, I'm just kidding. All right, hour number 2, Alan's Blast. Hour number 1, hour number 2 coming up. We're gonna have another big 3. Get more into these Padres. Gonna get more into NBA free agency. Got a lot of stuff going on there with the Lakers, the Bucks, everything going on there. Thank you for listening on the iHeartRadio app, and this is the Fletch Zone. The sport is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. As of 5 minutes ago, tonight's game, Padres Phillies, has been rescheduled and postponed for tomorrow, Wednesday, July 2nd. They will be playing a doubleheader, with that game being a day game, and then the other one being at 6:15. And big news out of the NBA, the Lakers, after losing out on Brook Lopez, are being linked to DeAndre Ayton, possibly after he clears waivers today. Per The Athletic, they're also looking at Al Horford and seriously considering him. And in boxing news, Jake Paul, who beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. over the weekend, is now ranked at cruiserweight for the WBA belt. He is ranked at number 14. He's eligible for a title shot. Wow. Need help fast? Anderson's same-day guarantee clears clogs pronto. Nobody wows clients like they do. Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air has served over 500,000 residential clients for more than 45 years. Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. That's AndersonPHA.com.
Check the clock.
What time is it?
It's high noon. Still looking for the Padres offense.
And Zach Wheeler wins his 8th game of the year. He was dominant again, and he has put an exclamation point on his month of June.
A shutout in Philly last night. But Game 2 of the series is just hours away. Plus, game time runs out in Milwaukee. SGA gets paid. And is Jake Paul a real boxer now? It's literally the wide world of sports. We talk about it all in the Flex Zone.
True that, Alan? Is Jake Paul a real boxer?
When I think of the greats,
Ali.
Yep.
Tyson.
Yep. Foreman.
Hopkins.
Evander Holyfield.
Duran. Leonard.
Mayweather.
Pacquiao. Paul. It's just, I don't even know. Listen, we're not going to spend time on
it. It's not his fault. I'm being honest. It's not his fault. The problem is people are buying his fights. That's the problem.
Yeah, I bought his fight because I want to see him get knocked out.
You're the problem then. I mean, if you're mad at Paul and you went out of your way to buy his fight, then you are literally the foundation of what the issue is with Jake Paul. Is it which one is it?
Jake Paul.
Okay,
Jake Paul. It's Jake, not Logan. Logan's the guy that fought Mayweather and it was totally rigged. Listen, I'm a massive combat sports fan. If you've listened to the show, Fletcher's as well. I watch the UFC. I'm a massive boxing fan. I watch every boxing fight. Like, it's hard with Jake Paul. Like, again, this is going to be a quick thing, but it's hard with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Because to give him credit for this, he actually like trains and tries to be a real boxer, unlike his brother.
I've heard he's got some respect out there because he does respect the craft, I guess you can call it.
But when you say I want to become a legit boxer and then you go fight a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, like that's not. I don't care. It's Mike Tyson. He's a shell of himself. He's 58 years old.
Yeah, it's a payday. That's all it is. And that's unfortunately for boxing, it has become it's taken more of the just pure entertainment route rather than, hey, these are fighters. It's the best of the best. They're going at it. It's 12 rounds. These guys will die in the ring. Not literally, but that those days, it doesn't seem like that's valued anymore.
And this guy,
because of people like you that purchased the fight, then why the hell would they not just keep doing this? Because you literally put how much did you take out of your pocket to watch this fight?
I'm a little embarrassed to say it.
How much? 50, 20,
60?
60. You spent 60 of your dollars. How many millions of households did the same thing? And why do you not think that they're not going to go find the next person to go fight because of people like you, Sammy Long?
Listen, I really spent the money because for my diehard boxing fans, I wanted to see Floyd Schofield and Tevin Farmer fight on the undercard.
Okay.
It's actually a first-round knockout. It was a great fight. The main event was disappointing. Someone needed to tell Julio Cesar Chavez that.
Could you not have bought the undercard for like 15? Like, was there a negotiation with pay-per-view?
There wasn't.
Like they cut you off right when the undercard is gone.
Here's the problem. They've cut away a lot of my illegal links. We'll be honest. All our listeners do the same thing. If I have plausible deniability, because I'm just going to say it's a bit for the radio.
Yeah.
But, illegal links has provided a lot of watching over the years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
you're not passionate enough. They're out there. You can find them.
You can find them.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to click through some interesting ads to get there. But the FBI is cracking down on that. I think the FBI should be more worried about, catching the real criminals versus me on my Saturday night streaming on my iPhone. Just food for thought.
If you're listening, FBI, Sammy's got a message for you.
All right. So but that went off the rails. But hour 2, we're going to get to the big 3 right here.
Okay.
Alan Sliwa, the voice you just heard, joining me today. Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa does the Sliwa Show, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every single day. He's the man. And let's get into the big 3.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
Okay, Alan. So SGA kind of got lost in the sauce today a little bit because of all the NBA news and everything going on.
Yep.
Signs a 5-year, $285 million supermax
He
contract.
is not streaming illegal cable.
No.
I think he's paying for whatever the cost is.
Actually, Alan, rich people do get free stuff. You think about rich people get free stuff sent to them.
I'd probably be one of the cheapest rich people as well. Still watching my dollars.
Where's the first house you're buying? Little Encinitas, Del Mar on the cliffs.
Yeah, it's going to be in that pocket. I think La Jolla, Del Mar, Encinitas is one of those 3 areas. Yeah, or maybe even Solana Beach. I got a small little office there. We'll make it close to that.
Solana Beach gets forgotten about way too much.
Which is not a bad thing. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Less people in
Stay out of there.
Area.
Don't overcrowd it.
Yeah. No.
But SGA. So a lot has been made about every year. I feel like we say this, whether it be the Nuggets, the Lakers a few years ago, the Celtics last year, and then the Thunder. Everyone's going to be a dynasty. Do you think this team is legit going to be a dynasty, or do you think that maybe we're going to see some spurts of them winning, but not a dynasty?
Let's define a dynasty. If you win 2 out of 3 years, I don't even know if that's considered a dynasty. Let's say they don't win this upcoming season and then they win the year after that. Is that a dynasty? My problem with dynasty, Shaq and Kobe was a dynasty. The Golden State Warriors were a dynasty. Dynasties are not, that's really, that's a tough definition. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to be in the mix every single year, it feels like, for the next 5 years. And I'll tell you why. Because they're already a really smart organization that cares about their draft picks. They value developing players. They do all the little things that are very important. And they're also very strategic and opportunistic when they can make that happen. They just got, Sam Presti got the whatever pressure that was on him. He will have been remembered as the guy that traded James Harden. Now he's no longer going to be remembered as that guy. So they're going to be in the mix every year. But a dynasty, the league is created today to stop dynasties. It's going to be very tough to create a dynasty in this year's or in this version of the NBA. Yeah, I
agree too. And it's kind of more to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar, and he's fantastic. Won the MVP, won an NBA Finals, and deserves the credit he deserves. But maybe it's just me. I don't see Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams as superstars. Maybe Jalen Williams a little bit more than Holmgren.
Jalen Williams got a wild upside.
Wild upside.
Yep.
They're gonna, with the CBA.
Yep.
You're going to have to pay these guys max salary level contracts unless somehow they're going to take less money. And I doubt Chet Holmgren, who's on a 3-year, $45 million rookie deal, is going to look at Shai making $286 and go, hey, I'm going to take less money.
The only thing I would say is I think the Oklahoma City Thunder have already been thinking about all this, and they're the type of organization where it feels like they're one step ahead of everybody else.
And they got
so
the draft
that's
picks.
Why I would give them credit.
Yes, I just think the West is too dominant for there to be a dynasty right now. I really think
that's a fair argument.
Houston looks legit. Denver, I thought, really making the Cam Johnson move, getting rid of Michael Porter Jr. was a smart move for them. Minnesota every year feels like we kind of count them out. I think there's limited upside there.
Golden State still a little juice left. We'll see what happens.
I know you're going to kill me, but I think the Lakers are still up there.
I don't think it's killing. I don't think it's killing you. I think it's just teams are making real moves right now, and the Lakers are still relying on, obviously somebody who's going to be 41 years old. Just that the chances of really making noise, it feels like that's getting smaller and smaller.
Totally agree. Quickly, so we don't talk a lot of hockey on this show. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. But NHL free agency got going today. Now, Connor McDavid is, the biggest player in the sport. Absolute superstar. Been kind of kept up there in Edmonton for years. And they've come short of the Stanley Cup each of the last 2 years. He's rumored a lot of places, possibly the Rangers. I've heard Vegas, a lot of different spots. Alan, just a generic question around hockey.
Yeah.
What is having a superstar like Connor McDavid do for a sport like the NHL? You're a wide sports fan. Does that ascend that into another level, being in America with an American team? Because we saw the ratings really go down when Edmonton was in it, and it was a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup. People just didn't really watch in America versus 2 years ago, where it was Vegas in Florida. The ratings were up after last year.
I think it helps. I think it helps. I just don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough in the world of hockey to know the type of impact that would have. But certainly helps if you got a star that's in the States and competing for a team that, like I mentioned, it's just somebody that's the biggest player in the sport and he's in the States. He's representing one of these local cities.
Yeah, it feels like, McDavid, as a LA Kings fan, he sent my team home each of the last 4 years. But in a sport like hockey, where it's not the first thing talked about, it's way down the list of sports, but it certainly is growing. You need stars to push it through. And that's, baseball has really lived on stars. I think that we kind of get into the Padres-Dodgers rivalry. I remember I was watching PTI after the whole, Suarez hit Ohtani and the Dodgers kept hitting Tatis and all this stuff. Yeah. I mean,
what I thought of when he hit Suarez, or when Suarez hit Ohtani?
What?
Only thing I thought about, I'm like, the tying run is at home plate. We're going to lose Suarez for freaking 2-3 games. Okay. They're not in a position to do any of that right now. But I understand, hey, it's baseball. You got to do this. I get all that. But that's where my mind went. My mind immediately went to, are you trying to win a game or are you just trying to show up this same squad? I'm not a fan of it.
100%. In that game, I talked about this the next day on the show.
Yeah.
They almost sold the game. If people remember the game right, the Dodgers had taken out Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, all that stuff.
Yep.
If they had still been up there, I believe, wasn't it Matsui came in? I think it was Matsui. But it was the last pitcher they literally had available to them.
Peralta or Matsui? You might be right. It might have been Matsui.
We can text line correct this.
I think it was. No, I think you're right.
Morejon was burned. Estrada was burned. They went through everything to win the game.
It was second and third, 5-3, when Matsui, I think, got the last out.
I mean, it was like...
And if that game gets tied, then the game's over. Dodgers are going to win that game.
It's over. So it's like, that's a whole other thing. But, the
point that you were making was stars right now are representing baseball.
Stars are representing baseball. And a sport that maybe baseball has lost popularity over the years. The pitch clock is bringing it back. I think these rivalries, Padres, Dodgers, how do you get
more teams now a part of the playoff mix? I think helps a lot. I think these are all kind of good strategic.
I think not the 1-game wild cards. And normally I'm all for 1-game elimination games, but it does feel like you play 162 games.
That's too. Yeah, that's not.
People have criticized that the season takes all year and it comes down to one game where you might have had your best pitcher get burned.
I know this isn't the conversation, but I think baseball has many more issues that they're going to have to figure out. I think we all know what I'm talking about there, just the disparity. But I do think baseball has made brilliant moves over the last couple of years. I do think are a lot more interesting. Makes the game a lot more interesting.
All right, well, let's get into that next segment on the other side. Let's get into some Padres, kind of what's going on there. Kind of talk about Tatis, what's going on with him, and really, is this team going to be a buyer, a seller, or hold at the deadline here in a couple weeks? Thank you for listening to Fletch Zone on San Diego Sports 760 on the iHeartRadio app. The new iHeartRadio app is excellent and checking out. We got the TalkBack mic. So if you ever want to leave us a message on the TalkBack mic, we will come right to the computer and we will play it on air, assuming it is okay for FCC airwaves. We love all of our listeners. Some people try to mess with me.
Okay.
They send me stuff, and it's kind of a fun game with the show. They send me stuff, and I'll be busy, and I won't listen to it, and then I'll just play it, and then we have to hit the dump button. But you know what? It's kind of a fun game. It's like, can you we've tricked Fletch a couple times, me and some listeners together, of getting him to read texts.
You should give out your personal number.
Hey, I'm with it.
Give out your cell phone number, and then they can reach out to you and tell them any hour, any time of the day, they can reach out that you're always working.
Listen, it's a family here. Okay. Yep. Families lean on each other. You know, you're not off because it's 12 to 3 a.m. You know?
Remember when you asked me if I was a Vegas guy?
Yeah.
That still might be my favorite moment of the show. Just out of nowhere. Hey, Al, are you a Vegas guy? Of course I am.
You know what my favorite part about it is?
Yeah.
Is I know you weren't a Vegas guy.
Yeah.
But I just want to see your reaction if I asked you live on air if you're a Vegas guy. Because I think you'd be fun
no
in
shirt the whole time. I don't put a shirt on. I don't have a shirt on from the moment I valet park. You're no shirt? Or are you? And I have a gold chain.
Of course.
And I have knockoff sunglasses. They say Gucci, but they're not Gucci.
There's something else.
Yeah.
It might be Fucci. Just something.
Could be Fucci.
But hey, you got to look closely. You wouldn't know. And I think the thing with it, you're a no shirt guy, or are you just open shirt?
It depends.
Depends
if it's cold out, I have a shirt on that's open. If it's hot out, I go no shirt. Sammy, I don't know where we're going with this.
No, I don't know. I think it's a fun little spinoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a guy real quickly, and then we're going to get back to sports. We had I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I had a guy tell me I was wearing a button-up shirt. He goes, "Are you single?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Undo it." I go, "Okay, that's not, like, I appreciate it."
Let me ask you a question. Did he look like a guy that maybe had good advice? Or did he look like...
He looked like Goose from Top Gun.
Then listen to him. Then he probably knows what he's talking about. By the way, if he's confident enough to come up to you and say, "Why don't you take one button off that shirt?"
I was like...
You might listen to him.
I didn't know whether to be like, screw this guy, or like, "Thanks, man." Go
with "thanks, man." Too many people are "screw this guy." Go "thanks, man."
Life advice from Alan Sliwa.
Yeah,
I like
there it
that.
is right there.
Let's get into these Padres. Enough about talking about our shirts off.
So no game tonight.
No game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed, postponed to tomorrow.
Can I ask you a question? Why, when I hear that, is there like an instant relief? I'm not kidding. I swear.
No.
There's a little bit of like, I think they can use a day off. And I know that sounds kind of funny. Tomorrow they'll have to play a doubleheader. We'll see what happens. And I think your hope for tomorrow against the Phillies is that you just split and you come back come back to San Diego 2-4 on this road trip. Trust me, that's not ideal. I think everybody would have. You wanted 3-3, and if you could have got 3-3, you'd have taken it. But it feels like just having a second and just a quick breather. And if you go look at their last 5 games, how many different games are they not scoring a run, or they're scoring 1 run? I mean, they scored 6 against the Cincinnati Reds, and it felt like they put up 14. That's what 6 feels like right now. So anyways, I feel like having a day off for the Padres might benefit them.
No, and that goes back to what you were saying earlier about the swag with Tatis and the swag with the team.
The team.
I feel like this team, it's surprising too, because of how many veteran leaders are on the team. You'd think that Bogarts would be this guy. I don't know if he is in the locker room. I think being a leader does equate something to play. Not that you have to be the best player on the team. That's
sure.
About with the Warriors. Kevon Looney was a big leader for them. He wasn't a key piece.
But the difference is there. Your contract also determines, like, exactly. Kevon Looney could be a role player. If you go, look back, you could pick whatever team. It doesn't matter. There are role players out there that you're like, hey man, that's a great person to have in the clubhouse. That's a great person to have in the locker room. That's a great role player. But you know what a role player is not doing? They're not the highest paid player on your team, or one of the highest paid player on your teams, because then you can't have the role player tag anymore. And the problem with Xander is just like, I'm going to tell you a quick Xander story. When he signed with the Padres, it's still one of my favorite things to watch, watching John and Jim, and you see it on YouTube. And during one of the breaks, it's always, obviously Jim standing up and taking the picture and blocking Xander. It's still one of my favorite things.
Oh yeah.
To watch.
His big forehead.
It's the greatest thing to watch. You know how bad I wanted to buy a Xander jersey?
You should have.
But let me tell you, he has like the making of that's the type of guy that you want on your team.
Oh, yeah.
He has the history. He's got time with the Red Sox. He's a 2-time World Series champion. You're like, oh my God. And you're bringing this guy to San Diego. That's exactly what they need to complement everything else that they have. And I swear every 2 months goes by and I'm like, am I going to be able to buy a Xander jersey, or do I just not buy it because the guy is not giving me a reason to buy it? I don't even know how I'm going off on this tangent, but I think there's a lot of people that feel that way about Xander Bogaerts in the city. People want Xander to do as I know Xander Bogaerts, which I've heard that the guy is a classy dude, a great dude, somebody that you want to have on your team. You know how many people probably feel the exact same way that I do? It's like you're so desperate to see Xander Bogaerts go through any stretch where he can potentially build some confidence. And he goes through a 2-week stretch where he's playing pretty well, pretty good for Xander Bogaerts. And I'm like, this is what we're celebrating. We're celebrating 2 weeks of good baseball from Xander. And the reality is yes.
Well, and I think something that gets lost is just like San Diego's frustrated, just like the fans are frustrated, just like we're all frustrated. Tatis and Machado and Merrill are just as the rest of the team is frustrated when guys don't produce. And that doesn't maybe make it out to the media if the PR team does a good job of hiding that. But it's in terms of
sometimes your body language, whether somebody says anything or not, your body language will tell it.
Exactly. When there's not a lot of confidence on the team that anyone beyond the fifth hitter on the chart is going to do anything, it rubs off on everyone else. If you're not confident in your bullpen and you're feeling like you have to score a gazillion runs. I mean, the Dodgers, I think, had this a lot last year. I think the Dodgers had no confidence in the last couple of years of the pitching staff because they were completely decimated. Mm-hmm. That you saw it when the Dodgers would lose, you would see it on the hitters' faces. It was like, do we really have to score 10 runs? I mean, that was kind of the vibe that some of the players in the Dodgers gave out, because it's reciprocal. I mean, it's going to rub off on you when it's like, man, this is frustrating to deal with. And you got to, think that Tatis and Machado and these guys are feeling the same way. And to the credit, it's awesome that Xander's playing well. But this is also expected because of his contract.
Yeah, we and by the way, it's all kind of based off of that. If you told me Xander was making I'll use not the biggest contract, Jake Cronenworth, use that contract. Well, our conversation would change on Xander. The biggest, I think, problem right now with the Padres is it does feel like from a mood standpoint, nobody looks confident out there. Does Tatis step up to the plate? Does he look confident to you?
No.
Merrill, I'm okay on. I know Jackson Merrill's not having the same year that he had. Right. He missed some time. That's okay. Luis Arraez, does he look like he has the same cuff? Where are some of the clutch hits that the Padres are just kind of dying for and waiting for? It feels like it's trickling down to the entire team.
100% agree. And Merrill, I mean, we talked about this before the show. It's kind of insane that he didn't go through a slump in the beginning of the year. I mean, look at Corbin Carroll. He was one of the best hitters in rookie seasons, and he couldn't literally not hit a baseball until July last year. It's kudos to Merrill that even with the contract, he was playing well, got hurt, struggled a little bit since, but you expect Merrill to get it back. All right, coming up on the Fletch Zone next, Al and I are going to get into the NBA. Lakers, what are they doing? What are the biggest moves? Who improved the most over free agency so far in the last 48 hours? Coming up next on the Fletch Zone. Thank you for listening on the iHeartRadio app as well as San Diego Sports 760. This sport is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Padres-Phillies game that was originally scheduled to go at 3:35 with Nick Pivetta on the mound has been rescheduled for tomorrow due to a rain delay. The Padres will be playing a doubleheader. And live at Wimbledon, Djokovic is in the third set against Muller. It is currently 1-1. And tournament fave, French Open winner, American Coco Gauff, has just got upset in the second round of Wimbledon. Anderson's drain stoppage guarantee solves issues for $63 on it, or it's on the house. Nobody wows clients like they do. Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air has been privileged to serve over 500,000 residential clients for more than 45 years. Visit AndersonPHA.com. Welcome back to the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher will be back next week. He is out on vacation up in Lake Tahoe. In is me as usual, and our very own Alan Sliwa. The man, Alan, you've been out to, as a local San Diegan, you've been out to an SCFC game yet?
I went to one game. I think it's a game they played KC, if I'm correct. I will tell you, and you and I talked a little bit about this off the air, but what a great addition to San Diego. I mean, to get into the mix of the MLS and honestly forget that they are having this unbelievable season in their inaugural year. Put that all to the side. Just the fact that, hey, they're part of the mix for the MLS. That stadium is the perfect size for it. It's a phenomenal atmosphere. It was a cool moment. Anytime I go to Snapdragon, I mean, here's the reality. It's a very, very hard reminder for a lot of San Diegans when you used to drive on the 8 or you used to drive off the 15 or used to drive off the 805, that Qualcomm's not there anymore. That will always be like a really, really tough thing to, but you got to accept it. So it kind of is what it is. But I think they've done the best what they can with that, obviously that piece of land. I just thought the vibe was so cool. You had so many families that were out there. They're rocking Padres gear. They're rocking Aztecs gear. They're rocking SDFC. They're rocking San Diego Wave. I had a really phenomenal experience, and they're going to have some very meaningful games coming up here. And I'm looking forward to go back out there. But I had a great time. I really did. Darren is killing it, and his obviously Darren Smith doing his thing, a part of the broadcast with Adrian Garcia, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so cool seeing, we've been talking about this a lot, but how the city is really galvanized behind it. And you've seen the growth of soccer. You've seen how,
I think it was always there. I think it was such a no-brainer for the MLS to have a team in San Diego. This city is, it's kind of funny. Whatever the perception is of San Diego, we don't have to get into it right now, but I will tell you the soccer portion of it is it's an absolute no-brainer. And MLS and San Diego is a perfect match.
Yeah, well, I think there was this, nationwide narrative that somehow San Diego didn't care about their fans because the Chargers were here and they'd see opposing teams come in and fans and there'd be a lot
cool.
of fans.
Go to a Rams game. Go see what that looks like.
Exactly.
And that's somebody with history in LA that has SoFi Stadium. Go up there when they're taking on the San Francisco 49ers. 100%. Go watch that.
It's not San Diego's fault that people, when they look at the NFL
the best city in the country,
right, and they want to go, hey, do you want to go to Minnesota and see a game, or do you want to go to San Diego? Pretty easy question. It's cool seeing how
it's also San Diego's fault that they had a wildly greedy owner that never truly respected what San Diego was. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Totally. I mean, you see the love for SDFC, the love for the Padres selling out. I mean, Viejas Arena on Tuesday nights are absolutely rocking. I mean, it's you see how much San Diego loves their sports, and
you got to win.
You got to win.
The reality is I'd love to see, and we'll see what happens here in the future. I'd love to see San Diego State football be a destination in San Diego.
Hell yeah.
But you got to win.
Well, yeah, because if you look at San Diego State, like,
got to be competitive. You got to be interesting. You got to, there's things that apply to, to just expect people to come out just to come out. That's not how it works.
Yeah. In San Diego State football, what's cool is this year, I think there's some real excitement around the program, considering there's a 4-star, 5-star running back coming in, local kid who they kept in town.
Love it.
Michigan backup quarterback coming in. So there's some buzz coming around the program. And right, I mean, it's like, we can be honest about this. We're the home of the Aztecs. I mean, people would come in football. USC, we get first picking, then UCLA, then Arizona State, than Arizona, and the rest of San Diego, the local kids would kind of go to San Diego State. It's cool that it seems like this new kind of administration, Sean Lewis, kind of building a little bit of a fence in his first kind of go around, and hopefully he can kind of build on that a little bit, not just lose all the top prospects out.
Yeah, and listen, let's see it come to fruition. I'm sure they have a vision. I'm sure when they built Snapdragon, they had an idea and a concept of what they had in mind. And listen, I know we're kind of going randomly off to San Diego State football. There's only one football team in town now. Yeah. This is it. So, I mean, you really have the entire city waiting for you. If you do put together a good product and you are putting yourself in a position where the product is actually good, and you do keep some homegrown talent where you can be proud of, hey, these are San Diegans represent San Diego State football, it would take off like that. I mean, I don't think the blueprint's very difficult, as in what the blueprint can look like. Obviously, getting there is going to be difficult. I'm not telling you that that's going to happen overnight, but let's see what they're able to put together. But I do think the fans are. I think they're waiting, and if you can get them interested and you get them hyped about something, that they'll fill up Snapdragon. They'll come out and support you.
100%. Flip into the NBA. So obviously we're Laker guys, but what team do you think improved the most so far in free agency or the offseason? What team are you looking at next year? You're going, wow, watch out for them.
Well, let's take the champs and put the champs to the side. Yeah. Oklahoma City Thunder, they deserve the title of the best team in the NBA, and we'll leave it at that. So everybody's chasing the champs. I thought Houston was phenomenal this offseason, just phenomenal. And out here in San Diego, and frankly, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what people's, what everybody's, are they supporting the Lakers? Are they supporting the Clippers? Are they NBA fans? They're not. I grew up in San Diego.
People support the Clippers?
To be honest with you, I'm sure there's probably some San Diegans that do it. I grew up in SD towards the end of Magic's era, and that's what got me into Lakers basketball. They used to have preseason games out here twice a year. Or no, they would do it once a year at the sports arena. So I would come out and watch those games. I think if you look at the scope of the NBA right now, I think the Houston Rockets, I think the Denver Nuggets, those are the two teams that did just phenomenal in the offseason. I love the moves that they made. I think San Antonio is quietly going to be a headache in the Western Conference. I thought from a draft perspective and what they were able to do. And then look at Dallas. They just drafted Cooper Flagg. They added D'Angelo Russell, which they need a point guard until Kyrie comes back. So I think those are some of the main teams I think have done well.
I like
a lot of teams I listed in the West, which just kind of shows you how complicated the West is.
Yeah. So my thing with both, I'm gonna stick with the Rockets and the Mavs. The Mavs on paper, if they're healthy, are lethal. If the playoffs started at the beginning of the season, everyone was there, that would be a extremely tough team. Obviously, Kyrie's hurt for a large part of the season, but let's just say Kyrie was there in the playoffs. That's a lethal team. I can't say the Mavs because Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson have not shown me that they can stay healthy over a whole season.
Completely fair.
And it's not like you have one injury-prone player where you're counting on, okay, AD, to his credit, has taken care of his body a little bit more the last few years. But three guys, I mean, you're expecting Kyrie Irving to come in off an Achilles tear to then flip the switch at the end of the year if he can come back and be the player he is. I don't know if I buy the Mavs. And the Rockets on paper are great. I mean, they add Dorian Finney-Smith, a 3-and-D guy. You got Şengün, who's probably one of the most underrated players in the league. Amen Thompson as well. Really ascending.
Trade for KD.
Trade for KD. That's what I'm going to, though, is do you believe KD can be a number one on a championship winning team anymore? Because we saw it with the Warriors, but I don't really count that, because not that I don't count the ring, but I mean, if Kevin Durant
stacked, they were just stacked back then.
Yep. Steph Curry, take LeBron out, was the other,
and everybody had a role. I would tell you this. I say this about the Rockets. I think that, I think this is his best shot since he left the Warriors, in the sense that he's going to be on a team where everybody has a role. They got a phenomenal head coach. It feels like they know what they're doing. They were a number 2 seed last year, and what were they really, really missing? They were missing that go-to player that they can go to go get them a bucket. I don't think they're going to ask Kevin Durant to do anything other than what Kevin Durant does best. That, I think, is what makes them dangerous. You're not going to ask KD. I don't think you need 35 from him every night. I just think you need Kevin Durant to play within Kevin Durant's ability. Yes, he is 37. Yes, there's going to be risk for injury. I agree with all that. But they have a team. They got about 8, 9, 10 guys that they can, depend on, and KD is just a piece of the puzzle.
So if everyone's healthy, let's just say this won't be the case, but if everyone's healthy in the playoffs, Oklahoma City's the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Houston's healthy. The Mavs are healthy. The Warriors are completely healthy. The Lakers are completely healthy. How would you stack those four? Or if throw another team, Denver as well.
You want the top 4 in the West?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go OKC. I'll go Houston. I'll go Denver, and then let's assume Dallas is healthy. I'll go Dallas as the top 4. That'd be my top 4.
See, my thing with Dallas, they're going to be fighting because of not having Kyrie Irving. They're going to do what the Lakers did a couple years ago. They're going to be fighting to get in the playoffs the last month of the season to get a respectable seed. And we've seen teams like that gas out. And take Cooper Flag out. This is a veteran-laden team. Klay Thompson, veteran. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Gaffer. I mean, you got a lot of guys that are older on this team. Yes, in theory, with the size that they have. I genuinely think, we'll obviously see what happens with the whole LeBron thing. Obviously, if LeBron gets traded, that kind of resets the expectations on the Lakers. I am excited to see what the Lakers will be able to do if you have LeBron and Luka for a full season and can surround them a little bit. I know the loss of Dorian Finney-Smith is a problem, but assuming DeAndre Ayton signs today, Al Horford, the Lakers are looking at, get a little size.
Then you still have chips to go make a trade. So they still got ways to improve the roster.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the LaRavia signing, I think the biggest thing about that, and I'm not going to sit here and act like LaRavia is some Hall of Fame type player.
You've been following LaRavia, haven't you? You're a big Jake LaRavia guy.
He cooked the Lakers for 25 points when he was with Memphis. Remember that game?
No, I honestly don't. You know what's funny? I when they signed him, in my head, I'm like, all right, time to do some research. I mean, it just depends what depth chart of certain players that you're going through. But I know, obviously, with Memphis and with Sacramento.
In terms of what LaRavia brings you, let's just say he's what he is. He's not a very good defender. He's a good sharpshooter. It makes Connect even more expendable. It makes the trade pieces. The fact that the Lakers should not be able to do anything. If Nico Harrison did his job, they would have taken every single Laker pick, every single pick swap, all the talent, and then you'd be stuck with just Luka, and that's kind of it. The fact the Lakers do have a couple first round picks to move, do have some pick swaps.
Can I? It's going to be an interesting question. I think for the Lakers, what's going to be an interesting question is, do they believe that now is the time to continue selling assets that you have? Or do they say to themselves, let's wait to see what LeBron's going to do? What does he want to do? Because if LeBron is serious about potentially wanting to compete for an NBA championship, I just don't know how realistic that's going to be with the Lakers. I'm talking about realistic. I'm talking about,
right, this year being odds-on favorite.
Yeah. I'm sure you play poker. All right. Are you going, if you got pocket fours, are you going all in?
No, I believe
if you have 10-8 suited, are you going all in?
I believe the Lakers have the third or fourth best odds to win the Western Conference. So Vegas is telling you that they don't think that.
Do you know why Vegas does that? Is because the Lakers are the most popular brand that people will continue to bet on. It's kind of easy money for them. I mean, if you go look at whatever the Vegas odds, Lakers are always going to be in that spectrum of, hey, let's put some money towards the Lakers. That doesn't mean it's a good bet. I think there's a reason why Vegas does that.
They also had, the Lakers had the books. We're going to get to break here, but the books were most scared of the Lakers winning the title last year because of the amount of money that was put on them. Before they were the most exposed. And you know what happened in 5 games of the playoffs? We know.
They started their vacation. It's just kind of the reality, and I think it's a very fascinating team to cover and to follow, but there's just so many better teams right now than them in the Western Conference, and we'll see if they're able to make some moves. I'm curious
with LeBron's situation. I'm curious with the Giannis situation in terms of, not really for the Lakers, because I don't know that that's that manageable to make. But does he stay in the Eastern Conference? Does he come out west? Because if you had Giannis coming out west to some team, the West has all the talent. If you're a young star, I'd be wanting to go play for the East, because I don't think you have that much talent, especially at least for 1 year with Tatum out and the Celtics kind of selling off some assets. All right, coming up next, we're gonna close this thing out. Kind of do a little recap on the day, maybe a little NBA free agency, a little Padres, take you in to tomorrow. Thank you for listening to San Diego Sports 760 on the dial or on the iHeart Radio app. San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks giveaway. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up at 2 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Alan, you got big plans for the week?
Just kind of grinding away the free agency. You know, what's kind of fun about this time of the year in the NBA is you never know what could happen at any time. So you might have kind of scheduled, hey, I'm going to go live at this time. And that's kind of the beauty with YouTube. Obviously, you go live at any time. So this next, let's call it 10 days or so, will be fun. It'll be interesting. And then things will obviously quiet down in the NBA. And I'll just continue to give myself migraines with the Padres.
Every night.
I hope not. But
yeah, we actually got some text on the Padres we could read before we get out of here. 619. So going back to our Suarez conversation earlier, Suarez couldn't get us a save at all after September last year with only one good pitch. They figured him out much earlier. He's not good.
He's got 22 saves this year. I think it's 22.
Yeah, I think
might be higher than that.
I think. Oh, is he? I think. Are they meaning in the playoffs? Is that what he's saying?
No, I think just his confidence is not there in Suarez. Listen, I'm not telling you that. Look, I have the same feeling as everybody else does when it comes to Suarez coming in. There's always going to be that in the back of your mind when De La Cruz got on Sunday. It's like, all right, this probably isn't going to go well, and it didn't go well. But you also can't score 2 runs, so you can put it on Suarez if you want. And I know that everybody wants Suarez to just lock down every single opportunity that he has. The Padres give him zero margin for error, and I would make the argument that the game they lost against the Red 2-1. They missed opportunities to give him a little bit of a cushion, and they didn't. So it's just as much on the bats as it is on Suarez.
Completely agree. 619,
another fight for Suarez.
If we can't even take the Dodgers down when they have no pitching, then what are we even doing?
Let me say this. Stop worrying about the Dodgers.
I agree with that.
Stop paying attention to the Dodgers. They're in a different class, and who cares what they do? There are plenty of other teams that you got to worry about before the Dodgers. Nobody wanted the 2-5 over that 7-game stretch. The division, like you and I were talking about earlier, that's over. Let's not have a conversation about that. If you're worrying about the Dodgers, your attention is at the wrong team. What you should be worried about is literally the squad that's in front of you. You may make the postseason and not have to play the Dodgers. You never know what can happen. Worry about them when you're actually playing against them.
100%.
There's 80 other things to worry about before that.
I think there's too much that goes into like the rivalry's fun, and it's fun.
I hate it
when it's you don't like the rivalry?
I don't. I think there's too much stock into one matchup, and I don't think that's beneficial to the Padres when you're looking at the big scope of things. If you beat the Dodgers, you do not get a parade. That's not how it works. If you beat the Dodgers, and I get it, you want to get through them, everything else, you still don't accomplish the goal that everybody wants to accomplish, is winning a World Series. And
it feels like ever since the Dodgers series, the team's been a little distracted. Quickly, 858 solid Wimbledon pick. Alcaraz is hot, and so is the show with Alan Sliwa. I think
Did we get Wimbledon and me in the same sentence?
You think Wimbledon, you think winning, you think trophies, you think Alan Sliwa.
I think Vegas with no shirt.
Vegas, no shirt. We hit Vegas today. We hit some NBA, hit some Padres. Sliwa, you're the best. You know I love you, brother. Go way back. And thank you so much for hopping on today. It means the world to me. And anytime you want to come down here.
That was awesome. And just as important, just getting a mic here in San Diego was awesome as well. So I enjoyed it.
Sliwa, you're the best. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Coach Quintero will be with me for the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. So great to hear back from the coach back on San Diego Airwaves. This has been San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for listening on the iHeartRadio app. See you tomorrow.